The Young and the Restless is never short of drama, and when Sally Spectre decides to turn herself in for all her rash actions, the plot takes a complicated, dramatic turn. From her inability to accept Billy's betrayal, to her decision to kidnap Phyllis and her dark plot to kill Sharon, the story unfolds into a dark mystery that even those involved could not have imagined. Sally and the decision to kidnap Phyllis, a rash move or a calculated plot? Sally has always been a surprising character on The Young and the Restless. A shrewd woman, she has always been able to protect herself, but when faced with Billy Abbott's betrayal, she seems to have lost her patience and reason. Sally's feelings of hurt and anger make her unable to bear Billy's betrayal, and in a moment of weakness, she decides to do something no one would expect, kidnapping Phyllis Summers, who she believes is the reason Billy left her. But Sally has more than just a grudge against Phyllis. Sharon Newman, who accidentally witnessed the incident, becomes the next threat to Sally. She realizes that if Sharon survives and provides information about the incident, her plan will be exposed. So Sally decides not to leave any evidence behind, and at the same time plans to capture Sharon, making her part of the dark conspiracy. The mastermind, who is masterminding it all? We can't help but wonder, who is really behind this conspiracy? Because when Phyllis and Sharon wake up and find themselves locked up in an abandoned mental facility, it's clear that they can't escape on their own. This is no coincidence. There is a controlling hand, someone who knows both Phyllis and Sharon's past, possibly an old enemy, someone who knows all their weaknesses, and has his own motives for putting them in this situation. Both Sharon and Phyllis have secrets from their past that not everyone knows. Phyllis, with her troubled relationships and past mistakes, and Sharon, who has experienced intense family wars, are both perfect targets for a revenge plot. So what is the motive? Does the person behind this dark game really want to erase the feud between Phyllis and Sharon, or is he trying to push them to the brink of complete collapse? Everything is murky, and while Phyllis and Sharon are trying to solve puzzles and recall buried memories, the person behind it is also watching, waiting to see if the two rivals can overcome each other and find a way to survive. The Hunger Games, Phyllis and Sharon must cooperate to survive. What makes this situation even more tense is the warning from the kidnapper: the reward of this game is to survive. This statement has a profound meaning, implying that if Phyllis and Sharon do not cooperate with each other, do not solve the puzzles and unravel their own mysteries, they will not survive. So is the kidnapper just trying to intimidate and force them to cooperate, or is there actually a greater danger lurking, making it impossible for them to escape? Although this may just be a psychological game, Phyllis and Sharon are forced to face each other and cooperate to overcome the challenge. Sharon, while she may not want to confront Phyllis, understands that this is the only chance to escape the dangerous situation. Phyllis, always tough by nature, also knows that she cannot do everything alone at this time. Together, they must find clues, solve puzzles, and most importantly, stay alive. However, the relationship between Phyllis and Sharon is not simple. They were once bitter rivals, and only recently began to make progress in understanding and making peace with each other. But in a life-or-death situation, hostility is temporarily put aside. They realize that they can only survive if they overcome the challenges set by their captors together. Mysterious puzzles. Phyllis and Sharon's pasts revealed. Each puzzle that Phyllis and Sharon encounter is related to events in their past. Questions about mistakes, difficult decisions, and complicated relationships gradually come to light. Secrets that they thought were buried for years suddenly rise to the surface, and now they have to face them. There is no room for concealment or evasion, the truth must be admitted. Is the person behind all this simply trying to make Phyllis and Sharon confront their past, or is there a deeper purpose? Perhaps the kidnapper is trying to create a psychological shock big enough to break them, or perhaps this is a psychological experiment where Phyllis and Sharon will have to choose between breaking old relationships and building a new alliance, an alliance for survival. In the intrigue-filled and complex world of The Young and the Restless, there is no shortage of tension and challenges. One of the most nerve-wracking scenarios is when Nick Newman, a man surrounded by important women, finds himself drawn into a life-or-death game where he can only save one person, Sharon Newman or Phyllis Summers. This choice is not just a simple decision about who will live and who will die. It is also a confrontation of deep relationships, emotions, and memories that have been hidden for years. This is a difficult problem for Nick to solve, and it is not just a decision about life, but also about what he truly believes in and wants to protect. The complicated relationship between Nick, Sharon, and Phyllis. Nick Newman has always been at the center of Sharon and Phyllis's lives. His relationship with Sharon, a woman he loved deeply and had a family with, was never easy. But they went through many ups and downs, from sweet moments to painful breakups. Even though they were no longer together, Sharon always held an important place in Nick's heart, and the two maintained a close relationship for the sake of their children and for the sake of unforgettable memories. Phyllis, on the other hand, was a woman with whom Nick had gone through many ups and downs. Their relationship was both passionate and full of misunderstandings and betrayals. Phyllis was always strong, had a prominent personality, and was not afraid to pursue her goals, which sometimes made Nick and those around her feel uneasy. But despite the arguments and breakups, Nick could not deny that Phyllis had a profound influence on his life. Both Sharon and Phyllis have been influential in Nick's life, and their rivalry is nothing new. This time, it's more serious than ever as both of their lives are at stake in a dangerous game that they never saw coming. The Hunger Games. Who will Nick choose? The person behind all these kidnapping plots is clearly no ordinary person. He doesn't just want to threaten Phyllis and Sharon, his real goal is to test Nick. A battle not just between two women but between deep relationships, buried truths, and unresolved emotions. And now, he wants Nick to face the worst decision of his life. Nick is drawn into this game not only because of the importance of Sharon and Phyllis in his life, but also because of their past. Over the years, Sharon and Phyllis have been in his life in very different ways, but each time he faces a difficult situation, Nick finds himself having to choose between the two women. This time, the choice is not just about love or duty, but about life, who will live, who will die. And more importantly, this decision will reshape his relationship with both Sharon and Phyllis. The conflicting relationship between Sharon and Phyllis. Since Nick came into Sharon and Phyllis's lives, the relationship between the two women has been filled with misunderstandings, jealousy, and no shortage of confrontations. Sharon, despite her deep relationship with Nick, has always maintained her freedom and passion for life. She has principles and always tries to hold on to what is important to her, including her children and family values. Meanwhile, Phyllis, with her strong and unpredictable personality, has always stood up to those who make her feel threatened. Their rivalry has been going on for years, and there is no denying that Nick has always been at the center of it. Now, with both women kidnapped and their lives in danger, Nick faces the most difficult question of his life. Should he choose to save Sharon, the woman with whom he has had a child and shared many memories, or Phyllis, the woman who has put him through the most unforgettable ordeal of his life? Dangerous turn. Who is behind the plot? The kidnapper, clearly, is more than just someone who wants to play with Phyllis and Sharon's lives. He is well calculated, and his plot is certainly purposeful. But what is his true motive? Is he trying to push Nick into this situation to prove his power, or does he have a grudge against Sharon and Phyllis from the past? It could be that the kidnapper wants to show that in Nick's life, only one woman will win, and that he wants Nick to be the one to decide who stays and who goes. This isn't just about Sharon and Phyllis's lives, it's also a way for Nick to come to terms with his past, the decisions he's made, and the consequences of them. What will Nick decide in this conflicting situation? Will Sharon and Phyllis continue to be the important women in his life, or will this conversation end with a decision that changes everything he believes in? As the truth is revealed and secrets are revealed, Nick will have to find a way to face his past, and himself. This game is not just about survival, but about love, loyalty, and the choices a man must make in the midst of complicated relationships. What will Phyllis and Sharon do to survive? Can they solve the puzzles, overcome the challenges, and move beyond the shadow of the past? Or will they let their years-long feud be the reason they cannot escape this trap? As the game gets more intense, the answer can only come from Phyllis and Sharon working together. But will they have the strength to overcome these challenges? And as secrets gradually come to light, questions about who is behind this conspiracy will continue to haunt them. In this game of life and death, only one thing is certain: if Phyllis and Sharon do not cooperate, neither of them will survive. In a show full of dark intrigue and life and death decisions, The Young and the Restless brings the audience a tense and dramatic situation where Nick Newman, who has always been at the center of complicated relationships, is faced with the most difficult decision of his life. After Phyllis and Sharon have won the game, Nick is once again drawn into a dangerous situation where he can only save one woman, Sharon or Phyllis. This choice is not only about life, but also about his past, his feelings, and the relationships that have deeply affected his life. The kidnapper, the game master, the person behind this kidnapping plot, is more than just a troublemaker. He clearly has a plan, and this time, he wants to not only terrorize Phyllis and Sharon, but also test Nick in a way he has never experienced before. He knows that Nick's past relationships with these two women are complicated, and it would be a huge shock if he could make Nick face this choice. The game he has created is not simply about whether Phyllis and Sharon can survive, but also a way for him to control Nick's life. He insists that only one person can win, and to force Nick to make a quick decision, he has created a timed explosive device that leaves Nick with no time to think long-term. Now, Nick must act immediately, or both women could pay with their lives. Nick, emotion or reason? Nick Newman has always been known for his sharp intellect, but in this situation, his heart will be faced with irreconcilable conflicts. Sharon and Phyllis both hold important positions in his life, each bringing with them memories, emotions, and undeniable responsibilities. Sharon is the one he fell in love with and had a family with, while Phyllis is the one he has been through great trials with. Both are the mothers of his children, which makes the decision even more difficult. Over the years, Nick and Sharon's relationship has gone through many ups and downs, but they have always maintained a special bond. Sharon, with her strength and determination, has always been an important part of Nick's life. Together, they have overcome many challenges and created a family for their daughter Faith. Although they are no longer husband and wife, Sharon is still someone Nick can rely on when he needs support. Phyllis, on the other hand, has always been a passionate woman, someone Nick can't help but miss. Their relationship has been full of ups and downs, from arguments to unforgettable sweet moments. Although they've both been through a lot, Nick can't deny that Phyllis has had a profound impact on his life. And most of all, Phyllis is the mother of his two children, Daniel and Summer, whom he loves dearly. In this situation, Nick's decision is not only based on personal feelings, but also on his responsibility to his children. But how can he choose between a woman with whom he already has a family, and a woman he can't stop loving, despite having betrayed him? Nick had faced a similar choice when Cameron, who had kidnapped and threatened his family, forced him to choose between Sharon and Faith. He was faced with an extremely stressful situation, and although things seemed insurmountable, he decided to do everything to save the people he loved. Now, being put in an almost identical situation, Nick will feel as if he is reliving that painful memory. This time, the stakes are much higher. Not only is Nick forced to choose between Sharon and Phyllis, but he is also forced to act in an extremely short time frame, with an explosive device counting down the seconds. His past experiences with Sharon and Faith are now clearly imprinted in Nick's mind. This choice is not only about life, but also about the values he has sacrificed and the bad decisions he has regretted throughout the years. Sharon and Phyllis. The game continues. Although both Phyllis and Sharon have participated in this game and won the previous rounds, they cannot easily escape this dangerous situation. Both face threats not only from the kidnapper but also from themselves. Sharon and Phyllis, who were rivals in the past, will now have to work together to find a way to survive. But can their rivalry be overcome when their lives are truly at stake? Sharon, with her cool-headedness and experience from past confrontations, will be the one to stand firm in this situation. She knows how to use her mind and inner strength to overcome challenges. Phyllis, although seemingly tougher and more determined, is no less intelligent and talented. Both understand that only by working together can they survive. However, the simmering hostility between them is always a factor that cannot be ignored. In this crucial moment, Nick will be faced with an unbelievable choice. The kidnapper has affirmed that only one woman will win and survive. Once again, Nick is forced into a situation where he must decide who will live and who will die. Although he could save both if he had time, with the clock ticking and the threat of the kidnappers looming, every decision he makes will have unforeseen consequences. Nick may not be able to save both Sharon and Phyllis. He must make a decision quickly, with unpredictable risks and consequences. This decision will not only change the fate of the women he loves, but will also reshape his relationship with them in the future. The outcome of this game will not only be an ending for Sharon and Phyllis, but also a major turning point in Nick's life. His relationship with these two women will never be the same again, and the decisions he makes will have a profound impact on their futures. Will Nick be able to save both of them, or will he be faced with the most difficult choices of his life? This game of death, though perhaps just part of a tense battle of wits, will completely change the course of Nick, Sharon, and Phyllis's lives. The decisions they must make in these dark moments are not only about life and death, but also about love, sacrifice, and relationships that have lasted for years. In the world of the young and the restless, there is no shortage of tension and drama. One of the stories that viewers cannot take their eyes off is Sally Spector's surprising confession. Her actions, which have always been questioned and judged, are finally exposed when she decides to admit her terrible thoughts. This not only leaves Billy Abbott, the man she once loved, confused, but also raises a series of questions about who Sally really is and the secrets she is trying to keep hidden. Sally and the confession, guilt or careful calculation? Sally's confession makes things more complicated than ever. A confident and daring woman, Sally has never shown much emotion or vulnerability before. However, when the truth is revealed, her actions make people question her true motives. Billy Abbott, Sally's former boyfriend, could not have imagined that she would have such terrible thoughts. He had always seen Sally as a smart, talented, and determined woman, but now he was faced with a completely different side of her, a side he had never imagined. Sally confessed that she had lost control of her emotions, that jealousy and negative emotions had caused her to act rashly. But is Sally's confession truly repentant, or just a calculated attempt to escape the dire consequences she faces? These questions begin to arise in the minds of Billy and those around him, as they realize that what Sally really wants may not simply be forgiveness, but a way to regain control. While Sally struggles with her emotions and the consequences of her actions, Mariah Copeland, a close friend of Sally's, embarks on a dangerous search. She is suspicious of Sally's actions, especially when she notices that Sally is hiding some important secrets. Mariah, with her sharp nature and ability to see through people, can't help but feel that something is not right with Sally's actions. The secrets that Sally is trying to hide may be related to her search for information about her mother, someone she has always wanted to find out, but who is also an important part of this complicated story. Mariah, with her protective nature, cannot sit still when she has doubts in her heart. She starts searching for information, trying to find clues and the whereabouts of Sally's mother. This is not just a normal search, but a journey full of risks and dark secrets. Mariah can't quite understand the motives behind Sally's actions, but she's certain that something is wrong. She knows that Sally isn't someone who can be easily manipulated, but if her suspicions are correct, then a huge amount of secrets will be revealed, not only hurting Sally but also hurting everyone around her. Jealousy conflict. Sally becomes a different person. One of the key factors that leads to Sally's extreme actions is her uncontrollable jealousy. While Billy is in a relationship with Victoria Newman and there are clear signs of his feelings for her, Sally can't let go. Even though they've broken up, old feelings still linger in Sally's heart. She begins to feel disappointed and angry when she sees Billy happy with someone else. And that's when her jealous conflicts become too big to control. Sally begins to act rashly and in extreme ways, surprising everyone around her. These actions not only hurt her, but also damage the relationships she has built. Feeling abandoned and unloved turns Sally into a different person, a scheming and calculating person, willing to do anything to regain attention and control in her life. But can Sally face the consequences of her actions, or will she continue to drown in jealousy and hatred, losing everything she has?